Welcome back everyone to my YouTube channel. My name is Nilesh Dudatra and this video is talk about the Spring Boot CRUD example with Spring MVC, Spring Data JPA, ThymeLeaf and H2 database. So this one is a CRUD operation. So create, retrieve, update and delete operation. Create a new Spring Starter project and let me take the name of this project is CRUD Spring CRUD, and let me take the name of group Nilesh and the name of package Nilesh and dot Spring CRUD. Okay, and I want to use the Java version is 8. Okay, that's fine. After that I have to take the component of dependency of the Spring Starter project. So I'm selecting this Spring Web, and for the database I want to use H2, that is a H2 and JPA. So this one is for the Spring Data JPA, and finish the now the project has been created. Whatever the dependency that are required for the all the jar file are fetching from the Maven repository. So it's taken some seconds. So now the project has been loaded. So in the pom.xml file I had included 3 dependencies, that is a JPA, web and H2 database. Now at first I am starting with the resource and application property file. So in this I have to mention the database related some properties. So for that I am starting with the property. So I have to write spring dot h2 dot, I have to enable that. So console dot enabled is equal to true. So after at the end we not required to put any kind of symbol, just like a semicolon and comma. So not need to required, and then spring, then dot data source dot, I have to put the platform is equal to h2. So I'm using the database that is a h2, and next one is a spring, then data source, then dot, I have to use url is equal to, that is a jdbc, then colon h2, then colon mem and Nilesh. So if you having a MySQL database, then you have to do setting according to that, and for that you have to use source dot username. You have to put the username over here, because in the MySQL you have to put URL, then username and the password. So you have to put a username over here as a username, and you have to put the password over here, right? So password is equal to this, but right now I don't require such kind of things. So this one is a application.property file, and after that I have to create the model. So it's inside the my package. So my package name is com.nilesh.springcrude. So I'm creating one package over here. So dot model. So right now I'm taking the example of student. So new, then class name, that is a student. So inside the student I want to put some variables: private, long, then sid, that is a student id, private, string, sname, that is a student name, private string sct. So these three variables are required for the. If you want more variable, then you can put over here, but right now for the example purpose I am using these three variable. So I am generating getter and setter over here. So this one is a getter and setter. Now this one is a entity, right? So I am putting the entity annotation entity. And second one, if you want to put any another table name, then you have to use table annotation, and inside the table annotation I am using the name. If you want to use a tb underscore student, so tb underscore student is a table inside the h2 database, but right now I want to put just student. And this one is id, so id. And next one is a generate generated type, generated value. I want to use generated type. Okay, generated value, then strategy is equal to, I want to put generated type dot identity. So whenever I want to insert, update or delete, so mainly the insert operation, at that time I don't require to send the sid. So if I am having a s name, student name and student city, I am passing only two variable. Then sid is auto generated value and with auto increment, so not required to send the sid. But during the updation and deletion operation, at that time I have to find pass the student id. Okay, so this one is my student class, and after that I want to change some in a pom.xml file. I want to add one dependency of ThymeLeaf. So I am add Spring Boot starter, then ThymeLeaf one dependency. So I am adding this code inside the pom.xml file. So according to the jar file as included in my Maven dependency. So that's it. And now I want to add controller over here. So I want to add controller package, and inside this controller I want to add one class, and the class name I want to use app controller dot java file. So as we know that I have to add one annotation over here, that is a controller over here. And okay, so at first I want to add student. Whenever I'm pass the URL localhost, then 8080, then slash forward slash, at that time all the student information has been fetched from the database, right? So before we do the code, such kind of code, I have to add repository. So I'm adding over here one package dot repository, and in the repository I am adding over here one interface, the name of the interface, that is a student repository over here. And inside this repository I am extends with the JPA a repository. So T is a class name and ID is that is a primary key which I have used in the student, right? So student is my class name, and long, that is I had used as a primary key, right? So this the database type of student ID, that is a long. So this one is a repository, and I want to add a repository annotation over here. So this one is a repository, and after that I have to add one service to use the all the operation insert, update, delete, and fetching the information. So services package I have to use, and for that I am making one class, that is a student services. Now inside this service I want to add some code that is related to insert, update, and delete. So this one is a service, right? So I had used service annotation over here, and I'm creating one uh, object of the repository. So student repository, yes, repo, that is our name of the very object of student repository, and I want to add auto wire over here. Now if I want to fetch all the student, so I'm using one function, public list, in the form of list. So list, that is a java.util, and it's a collection of student. So student and list all. Let me take the name of this function, that is a list all. So I want to return the repo dot find all. So this is used for the fetch then information of all student, and if I want to fetch particular one student, at that time I have to use this function, public then single student. So I'm a return type is a student, and get. So whenever I'm passing the ID of this student, at that time the one student value has been returned. Return then repo dot, I want to fetch one value, so fetch by ID, then ID, that is a passing by the parameter, and get. So it will return just a single student information, and last one is that is a public then delete. For the delete operation, so for that I have to pass ID. So repo dot delete, delete by ID, and this ID. So whenever I'm passing the ID of particular student, then it has been removed from the database. So this one is a service class. Okay, and now I am changing the code inside the controller. So I want to fetch the information of all student. So for that I am creating one controller over here, public then string, and for example I am taking the name of function, that is a view home page, that is a home page, right, page, and I am passing the model, right? So I am passing the model, that is a model. Then this one is a list of student, right? So list of student, so list of student, and I am using the services over here. So at first I have to create a one variable of student services, and the name of this variable, that is a service service, and this one is auto wire, right? Auto wire. So this one is a student service dot list all. So this one is a, now I have to create a model dot, then add attribute, then the attribute value that that is a, the variable name is a student, and pass the object of list student, list of students, so list student, then semicolon, and after that I am return the value, I mean the page name, that is index. So now I have to create a one page that is a index.html. So I'm using over here, that is a ThymeLeaf, right? That I have to add the dependency inside the pom.xml file. Okay. Now I'm saving this file. Okay, I'm create one page. So inside the template I have to put the HTML file. So new, then other, and I'm creating HTML. So HTML file, the name of the file, that is index.html. So this file has been created. So in this file, this one is a HTML, and I'm using the ThymeLeaf. So I have to put these things. So this one is a ThymeLeaf. Okay. After that, I'm changing the title over here. So student information. Okay. And I want to put the board inside the body part. I'm copy this code from the my file. So this one is a code that I have to add over here. Okay. So whatever the information fetch from the controller, that is a student list, right? So I'm changing the name of list. So I'm using this list of student, right? So I'm copy this and put inside the as a model. Yes, I forget to put over here request mapping, and by default that is a forward slash. So I'm using public, then string. After that I'm adding new student page, and as an argument I'm use the model and model. Okay. After that I am return this to the new student. So I have to create one page, the name of new student. So as the index.html file, I have to create one new page, that is a new student, and I'm creating student, then as student is equal to new student. I'm creating the object of this student, and model dot add attribute this student. So initially this object is a blank, right? So after the adding the value, it has been saved in the database. So over here I have to use a request mapping of new, right? So now to save the information of the student, I have to create a one more function inside the controller. So that is a public string and save student, and for that I have to use the model attribute, and I'm using this student as a parameter name, and after that I'm using student, right? And whatever the information came from the save method, that is I'm saving by using the service object save student, and after that I have to after the saving the student information, I have to redirect to the home page, right? So return uh, redirect and colon and slash and semicolon. Now I have to put the request mapping over here, and for that I have to put value is equal to, whenever I'm pass the URL save, this has been a called method is equal to the request method dot post. So whenever the post method has been called by the save URL, so the information of the student has been saved. After that I'm creating for the editing purpose, editing the information of the student, public, then model and view. I am use the model and view, and so at first whenever I'm click on the edit button, I have to show the information of the student, right? So edit student page, for that I have to use at the red path variable, and the name of this variable, so I have to pass the student ID, right? So name of the student ID, that is a long SID. Okay, now I have to create a model and view. Model and view MAV is equal to new, and after that I have to create new model and view, and inside the I have to put edit underscore. So I have to create one more HTML page, that the name of the page, that is edit underscore student, and I am creating the object of student and service dot get SID, that we have created one more function, that is inside the student service dot java file. So it has been called at this place. So add object, and I want to use student as a parameter, and whatever the information fetched, it has been passed through the model. Return and MAV. So this is a, whenever I'm click on the edit button, this has been called. So a request mapping, that is at the time of edit, so put the name of mapping, that is edit, and slash I have to put SID inside the so whenever I'm click on edit, then slash, then one, so the student whose ID is a 1 has been fetched from the student database. Now I want to delete this information, so I'm copy this code and put over here and delete, use the name of URL, that is a delete, and the return type is a string, because I am just redirect this after deletion, that is delete, and I want to delete student page. So path variable, that is SID, as long as it is. So I want to delete, so I use the service dot delete and SID. Simple, right? So this one is for the delete. Now I have to do change inside the index.html. So at first I have to put one URL to add the student. So I'm adding after the student list. Okay, and I have to put one th tag for the action, means delete and or this operation, edit operation. And for that I have to put one more buttons over here, right? So these two buttons I want to use for the editing and deleting, right? Whenever I'm use this URL edit then slash then sid, that is for example one sid, then it has been called. And whenever I'm use the delete then slash one, then it has been deleted. So these two button are there. Okay, fine. After that I have to create the two pages of edit student, right? Let me check. Yes, I have to create one more page, that is a edit student, and one more page, that is a add student, right? Add new student. So in the template I am add one HTML page. The name of this page is new student, new student.html, right? So in this page I have to at first add the HTML code, that is. So at first I have to use ThymeLeaf. I don't require this XMLNS, so I'm removing this. Okay, and whenever I'm click on the submit button, at that time the save URL has been called, and whatever the information of the student has been fetched from this URL, and whatever the write by the user, it has been passed by the sname and sct. So this one is a simple HTML code inside the new student. Now I have to create one more page, that is edit student, edit underscore student, right? So I am creating this page, other, and HTML page. The name of the page is edit underscore student dot html page, right? I am paste over here edit student, and edit student I want to save. Whenever I click on the save button, whatever the SID that has been passed during the click on the edit, that has been displayed over here, and this one is as a read only, sname, sct, and submit, right? So this one is a for the edit student. Okay, fine. Now I am execute this program. Let me check, is there any error or not. Okay, so there are no any kind of error. Now let me at first execute this. So I'm having some insert query are there to insert the record inside the student table. So I'm inserting this for the checking purpose. Let me check at first. So all this record has been inserted in my table, and refresh this page. Yes, it's there. Now I want to edit this. For example, Ravi, I want to add 4 in the last. So yes, it's edited, and I want to delete this. Yes, it's deleted, and I want to add again Ravi and Mumbai. Save. Yes, it's successfully saved. Okay, fine. So that's it. In the next lecture, we will see about the Spring security, and we will assign the different roles to the different user. Okay. So up to this in this example. So thank you very much and goodbye.